Today I'm working on these Pro Slat. This is an 8x4 section. It's going to go up on this wall. One issue with this wall is it's got a little diagonal. And I installed these safe racks. I have another video on that, but what I'm doing right now is finding where all the studs are. Got to have a good stud finder. It's key to this job. This one has a level. So mark the studs, find the orientation that you want it in. Chalk line would help if you don't have to draw these lines. One issue I have is my studs kind of shift. I have some stairs on the other side of this, so got to be mindful of your stud location and trust your stud finder. Use it exceedingly, measure 3 times and cut once. So anyways, I got my general layout. This is pretty straightforward. They have a video online, but it's not super helpful. If you install these the right way, you're supposed to be able to store 75 pounds per square foot. One other thing was I didn't get the hooks in the box, so I contacted the company about that. I ordered this through Costco. So right now I'm going to put the bottom trim piece in. Got to make sure that that's level. Then you put the vertical pieces, and then you put your panels in. So I'll walk you through that a little bit to hopefully give a better explanation than the instructions. So you need to end and start on a stud, and your studs should be 16 inches apart. With newer construction, if you're 24 or bigger, then they say you should install plywood. So the ends need to be on a stud. Obviously you can use plywood behind it, but yeah, so the bottom trim piece, you have to put it into 5, the middle 5 studs. You don't put it into the end studs. So I got those lined out, and then I'm going to put the bottom trim piece in, and then we build from there. So I got the first screw in here. This wider side, taller side goes against the wall. One thing to be cognizant of if you're working, well, however you're working, whatever your measurement you want to be, I measured the side. And this may look a little weird, but it's not exactly 8 feet. This trim piece is not 8 feet. You have to calculate that into your measurements. Make sure that lands on your stud. I have a stud in the corner here. And then whatever symmetrically you want it to be, I got 1.25 inches on each side. So first screw goes in, set up your level, and then get 4 more screws in. Put the level on this, level this bottom piece, and then get the rest of your 4 screws in. Just make sure you're on the right mark for level, and then get the rest of your screws in. So we got this bottom row in. Pretty straightforward. It would be helpful to have 2 people, so one person could hold the level, and then you can use the drill with 2 hands. They do give you a drill bit with the box of screws. The drill bit is or the screw bit is okay. They're sort of self-drilling. They have that little slot, so it's not too bad. A little bit of force to get it into the plastic, but no big deal there. So now we're going to move on to install side. First corner piece, you just install the screw, making sure to screw into both the bottom and the side. And I just overlap this here a little bit, so it's just tucked in. Then now you don't need to level here. I did a little bit just to make sure I wasn't too far pushing this down. And then you level the side and install 1 screw at the top. Right, got the sides in place, so now we're going to install the first panel. We're going to slide in one side and then pull it towards us to curve it. It is PVC material, and pop it in the other side, and then screw it all the way across, making sure it's level. This bottom panel in. One thing to try to do here is try to make sure that you have the overlap like 7/8 of the way overlapping. I had to readjust it because I wasn't getting good retention on this side. The picture is not that great in the manual. It just says overlap. but you really need to overlap it almost 7/8 of the way in. And the other thing to watch out for is if your stud is at 16, you're gonna have to drill in at an angle or use a longer screw. That was my first hole there. So first little boo-boo, but the first panel is in and we'll move on from there. It's got the first panel in. One trick here with these screws is you have to pierce this PVC. It can be a little bit wobbly, so push the point of the screw hard into the PVC before you start drilling, and it'll bite a little bit easier. And then you check the level as you go along. And I think if you get the first panel pretty good, I did have to, that corner is a little bit raised on the plastic, but I test fit the second panel, that's no issue. I had to use a different screw to reach the stud a little bit better, a little bit longer. Not absolutely critical, but it's about a 1/2 inch longer. I had some of these Home Depot, bought the little screw kit. I have a bunch of extra screws, so might help if your dimension is a little bit short on one of the sides. And this is just gonna sit right in here, above here. So you can kind of eyeball that and see how it fits. The instructions have a diagram. So you see it just sits in that channel where the screw is, sits right above it. Just like that. Second boo-boo, you're not supposed to have any gray showing. Just realized that by the time I got the third panel in. So I'm gonna have to drill, 1/3 of an inch, a little bit lower on these panels to make sure that there's no gray part showing. And to the instructions credit, it does show that on the instructions, so that's my bad. But you're not gonna make that mistake because I'm showing you that none of this gray is supposed to be showing, supposed to be all white. All right, got it in. Some little challenges. Certainly you need some patience for a project like this. One thing is they said you're gonna have extra trim at the top. Well, I don't have any extra trim. I think that's because my level was a little bit off on the bottom. Some areas I have like a 1/4 inch, and then on this side it's touching. So anyways, overall it's pretty simple. Just takes elbow grease, back grease. So far so good. Let's see how the top piece fits in. So this trim piece, it just slips in. It's got a little tongue right there, and you just push that on and then snap it on. That side was pretty good. This side I got a little bit showing, a little bit short here, but if that bothers me, I could hit that with like just some white paint. So there you go. Now all you got to do is get your hooks going and hook it up. Let me know if you guys have questions. So far pretty good. I think the instructions were pretty good. I only was operator error that I committed. This is a good way for using some wall storage, getting some wall storage. Seems like a good product. Thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe.